morning, everyone. Welcome to a very special and personal Coffee with Jim and James today. James, I have to tell you a quick story about the lady that is joining us today.
No surprise.
Well, a fun story about her that a lot of people might not know is that she is a huge dog lover. And when I say that, I'm not saying I'm talking on steroids. Like she would drive 500 miles to save a dog. Quick story. I was in California, it's probably 5 years ago, traveling on business. I get a call from her. At that time, she was 16 years old, maybe, right? It might have been 6 years ago. And she calls me, she goes, Dad. And at that time I was single dad at the time, so raising Summer. And she was in high school and she said, hey, Dad, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if you get a call from a rescue foundation about a dog, don't be alarmed. And I'm like, what did you do? And she's like, well, I was online and I found this cute little puppy and he was found in a park in Houston and abandoned and the whole bit. I'm like, okay, I'm busy, and I'm not, I'll 20 minutes later, my phone's ringing. I'm like, hello, this is Jim. Hi, we are from Forgotten Pet Advocates. I remember the name. And they're like, we understand that you want to adopt Tessa. Wasn't that her name? Tessa? So I said, okay, sounds good. What do we, we'll think about it. They're like, well, we'll drop her by on Sunday. I'm like, huh? What? To this day, her name is now Remington, and she is a beautiful black lab mix, Summer, something like that.
I don't really know.
Yeah,
I think she has a border collie in her potentially.
Yep. Black lab, half fence jumper. That's what we call that.
Yep. It looks like a miniature black golden retriever, basically.
Sounds good enough. Good enough.
Her first big dog, though. So
it is.
How about starting the show off with a real story for once? Can we get a round of applause for that? If Amy was doing this, I'd have her put claps in. I'm just happy to have a guest on where we tell a real story, Summer. So glad to meet you. Even when not in person, it's so weird because I feel like I know you so well. Having worked with your dad and closely with your dad for a long time. But great to put, face to a name and then also get to spend some time in the pre-show with you.
Yep.
So awesome.
Absolutely. So are you nervous? Are you ready for this? It's going to be grilling.
I'm excited.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, audience, Summer has just graduated from UT, University of Texas at Austin. And we thought it'd be interesting to have her on the show and kind of get a little perspective. Because one perspective, we talked a lot about COVID and the pandemic in the industry. But Summer, you have been a senior this last year at UT Austin, which is one of the most renowned known schools in the United States, big, 50, 60, 70,000 people.
Heard of them.
How has your senior year been during COVID and the pandemic? Give us a little insight as to what it was like.
I mean, it's been good. I wasn't here for the beginning of the pandemic and quarantine. It's weird because I feel like I always have these like gut feelings with different things. And so spring break 2020, so about a little over a year ago, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go home for spring break. I'm going to go visit Dad. And I got there, and I think literally a few days later, that's when quarantine set in, and I was stuck there for 2.5 months. I wouldn't say stuck.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute. Did she say stuck? Yeah, you were there.
Stuck in Florida.
We had fun together. It was 2.5 months. And the weird part is, what did you expect? You expected to stay a week, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember it. Yeah, I remember it happening. And the reason I remember is because I remember going, Jimmy, where's Summer? How's Summer? Because in the middle of that, we were, toilet paper shortage and water shortage, everything was going bonkers. And I was like, does she need anything? What do we need to do? And he was like, oh, she came home like 2 days before, and I was like, wow. So kudos for that, whatever gut feeling you have.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all worked out, and I'm really thankful that I was there. I mean, it would have been a lot more stressful being here by myself with my dog too, and living in this era that no one has ever experienced. And so It was fun. It was cool. We both learned how to transition over to virtual things, me for class, dad for work. And I think it was about a year ago too that y'all started this.
We did.
Yep.
Was an exciting time. But yeah, so then when I got back, I mean, it's so weird because UT, considered like since it's in a city, it's not even necessarily like a college town. There's people everywhere, from all over. And so coming back and like the streets are just empty and no one's here. It was weird. It was weird.
That's weird.
But I mean, all the students learned to just push through it, get through it. All of my friends, we all were there for each other. And so it was good, but it was weird without football games, I'm in a sorority too. And so, or I was, I'm an alum now, but in Zeta, and we had no events anymore. Everything was closed, restaurants. So life was just different. The library, I used to go to the library with my friends, I think probably every day, if not every like other day. And we'd stay there all night. And it was like, we really loved it. It was our thing to do. But then I haven't been to the library since. So I learned to stay up all night in my room, which I mean, it kind of works out because I do have my dog. And so I got to spend a lot of time with her. So she loves it, obviously. But yeah, it's been fun. It's starting to become normal-ish again, which is a relief, but
Yep. Summer, you mentioned the virtual world and your dad having to learn the virtual world as well. And being someone who had to, oh, look at that. Hey, throwback. Look at that. That's the blue hat one. That's a good one. That's the original one. But, someone that had to drag your dad kicking and screaming into the virtual world, I know, it was a tough transition for a lot of people. But, in your world and in college, transitioning to virtual, how did that look? How do you feel like you did? And any takeaways from it or anything that you'd share with us?
well, being younger, I mean, students are more familiar with stuff like this, I would say. So my professors, some of them really struggled with it too. And so we were all kind of in it together. My professors were so understanding with everything. And they just they wanted the best for us and they just wanted us to succeed, but also, I mean, dealing with.
Wait, is that the dog, the infamous dog from the story?
No, I don't think that's Remy. I think that's the new one.
Oh,
that's our side.
Welcome to the virtual. Speaking of the virtual world, right?
Right. But yeah, it was something that like we were all in together and we were all supporting each other. And my professors really made it a lot easier. And with assignments, deadlines, they were just there for us. And so, I mean,
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's one thing, Summer, that I think not just, I mean, obviously, I don't know in a college setting, but in general, I think the world did a fairly decent job of just being so human during this time when, a lot of people had been so hateful for so long. And then to find themselves, so many awesome people did awesome things, and so to hear that you saw it everywhere, right? People just being human and passionate and going, it's all right, just try to pay us when you can, or, whatever it is, right? I think that's awesome to hear from, professors being the same way during that time.
A good positive environment. Summer, let me ask you, overall, do you think people's grades were affected by the pandemic? Meaning, were people more apt to do better in person or virtually, or do you think it was on a case-by-case individual basis?
I would definitely say case by case. It just depends on the person. I know a lot of people were going through had much more difficult situations than others. And so I personally, I liked being virtual. I mean, you could do school from anywhere. I was in college, in Florida, technically. But yeah, it just depends. Some people, they like the classroom atmosphere and face to face with their professors and building those like strong in-person relationships technically. And so, yeah, but yeah, it definitely depends. I liked being online because, I mean, walking to class like going to class or like being on campus is amazing, but there would be times where I'd be stressing out about like a test that I'm about to have, and then I'm walking, and then it's so hot in Texas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and then I'm like, the elevator is taking forever. Why does my apartment only have one working elevator right now? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that like went into it, and so it was much more calm when I could just log on to Zoom and be there. But it was also difficult for some professors because there's a lot of kids that don't want to turn on their camera.
Sure.
And so I could see how you just didn't really have that full connection with your students. And so there were some professors that would highly recommend that everyone has it on. But others, I've had a few.
I recommend.
Yeah. I've had one professor. It was a small class too. I'd say it was about like 20 people, but it was me and I think like 2 other people would have their cameras on every class, and then the rest were just either their names or little pictures. But she never complained about it, and she was like the most caring person that I've ever come across in college. She was just really there for us, and so yeah. But
awesome. Summer. So now a whole new world begins, right? We're alum, UT alum, right? Now you're walking into this business world trying to figure out what you're going to do, where you're headed, what your goals are, what career paths are ahead of you. Where's your head at?
I'm still kind of trying to figure that out, not necessarily. I mean, I know I want to stay in Austin. Ideally, I would love to stay in Austin. And I'm kind of looking into more marketing. I mean, I've kind of learned that from you, honestly. Dad's told me a lot, and I've seen like a lot of the work that you've done, but like indirect marketing, kind of like design. I was in yearbook in, I'd say, senior year of high school. I was a yearbook editor. I was the photo editor. So I became really familiar with like Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, Lightroom, different programs like that. And then I've had a lot of projects that I've done throughout college, and I love PowerPoint. I love making not just like simple PowerPoints. Like I will spend days like working on like a whole PowerPoint.
I've seen them.
Yeah. I know. I made
long ones. I think I shared that one. That thing was epic. She had voiceovers and music, and yeah,
that was like a 17-minute presentation that I made about a dog, trying to convince Dad to get a dog, which y'all have a dog now, so it works.
It works.
But
conversion, that's called conversion in marketing.
Just in my free time, I was like, I'm gonna do this right now. So and then Canva, I love using Canva. I just had one project where I had to make like PSA posters about this topic, and so I got really familiar with Canva, which is a really cool.
You should share some of that on LinkedIn some point, just some of that. I've seen some of your work, and it's phenomenal, at least for somebody like me. I mean, I would hire you if it wasn't nepotism in a second, because James has seen some of my work, and he does not allow me. Actually, PowerPoint has been taken.
That would actually be nepotism. Yeah, they would look at that and go, "There's no way." Looking at Jim, that she's ever created anything in her life. I think it's awesome, Summer. I think that's a cool flex. What else? Anything else that interests you right now?
I have really been interested in human resources as well.
Why?
I love
creative.
Hold on.
I'm a rule follower. I've always been a rule follower, but
we call those people the fun police.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding. I'm those people. What are we talking about?
But yeah, so I've been looking into both. And then I've been looking into companies in Austin. I really want to join a company that I can learn from and grow within whichever industry that I take on. And a company that just has a positive culture and environment, atmosphere, with people that are motivational. They just will push me to reach my ultimate success and people that I can just rely on and be real with and have real relationships. And I want to build networks and just grow and learn and eventually be a person that can mentor other people when they're starting out. So,
Man, look at Jimmy all proud over there in the corner.
Yeah.
He's just
She's a
glowing because you're
mom,
glowing.
isn't she? I mean, seriously, that's like
Awesome.
a lot of the things, except for the rules side. I'm a little iffy on that, but you know,
Same. I see, I'm not a rule follower so much, but my HR tie is people. Like
Yeah.
the human part, right? I really enjoy that part and the psychology and helping people and all of that. So I am not part of the fun police like you, Summer. I think those are great. I mean, those are great places. I mean, it sounds like you're coming for my job though, because
I know.
you mentioned both of the things, but great combo for sure. I love it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from you too. And you got me those 2 books.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, James did?
No?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
About which path to take, kind of. And so
Yeah.
Let's see,
James does a
which
lot of
books was it?
Yep. One. Yep.
That one, and
purple cow or something.
I bet I don't have Purple Cow here. I bet it's at the
Yeah,
office.
that
But
was it.
Purple Cow is amazing. Yeah, good marketing. That's a marketing essential. Very cool.
Summer, it's absolutely a pleasure to have you on the show as a dad, as well as just industry to hear, you know, the people that are graduating, some of the things they've gone through, the journey, you know, your journey ahead of you, your positive attitude and your can-do attitude. And I'm stepping aside from my dad. It's very invigorating, very nice to see. But we always finish up the show with one question. And today it's a little bit different because of the place that you're at in your life, meaning that you're just in your career. So I'm going to ask you this question. It's normally we ask, do you love what you do? Now we want to have you back on the show in a year and ask you that. Okay.
Okay.
But for today, we're going to ask you this. What brings you happiness every day?
What brings me happiness every day?
Yeah.
The people that I'm surrounded with. I mean, all of my friends. I mean, you, talking to you. I love FaceTiming you. My dog. Just just having those people to rely on and to go to whenever you're facing any struggles, or to be there for other people too. So
Awesome.
Yeah, you do that a lot. I don't think you give yourself enough credit. You seem to always bend over backwards to help other people. And even a quick story, there was her senior year, she was the photo editor, and she as a result of that, she got a free yearbook, which is cool. And I remember her coming home or calling me or something and saying, could she get a check or something for a yearbook? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. But didn't you get one free? She's like, yeah, I do. But there's this, you know, gentleman boy in school. What was his name?
Michael.
Yep. And his family couldn't afford one or whatever. And he was, you know, going to be sad without one. I think, wasn't he a special needs?
He was autistic, yes.
Yep. And Summer's like, so I want to buy his yearbook. And I'm like, I'm looking at her. I'm like, sure.
Anybody else? Yeah.
I write the check. She's like, thanks, Dad.
Love
And
it.
I remember her coming home saying how happy he was when you gave him that yearbook. I mean, you really made his, I'm not going to say day, but probably week, month, or his senior year of high school. It was a really nice gesture. You're a very caring and giving person, Summer.
You have a big heart. You have a big heart like your daddy.
He was a great friend, though. We used to go get yogurt and go out to dinner occasionally. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Well, Summer, it's been amazing getting to know you.
Thank you.
You'll probably have a line out the door of people looking to hire you, and you as well. You should, me included. I'll probably be in that line too. But we thank you for joining us today. You've been amazing.
Thank y'all for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
That wasn't so bad.
I know.
Yeah, she might become a regular. Anyway,
I was hoping to be interrogated by y'all.
You might even get a new mug out of it.
I hope so. That mug looks cool, but
it's legit.
Yeah.
I'd be all on it.
Audience, thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for learning a little bit about Summer. Hope you've gained some happiness today by having her be on the show with us today. I know it brought a very proud moment to my heart. And James, thank you for all you contribute. Summer, thank you for joining us. We wish you the best in your career. Things are going to go great for you. And please, on a personal note, help me out. Somebody, please hire her. Please.
Get her off the payroll. Yeah.
That's right. Anyway.
That's supporting me and my dog.
Until next week, on Coffee with Jim and James, thank you for tuning in. Everybody, as I always say, stay safe. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Summer, for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye, Summer. Thank you.